and welcome to another beautiful day. It's another beautiful day to be describing or going through some headlines with you. And if you're on your way to work or you're already at work like I am, it is your newspaper review on Ida Television for today. And the first newspaper we'll be diving into is the Punch newspaper front page, where we see that presidency eyes NNPC shake up as oil output falters. Now, on that particular headline, we now see that the presidency says it plans to restructure how assets are owned by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC) as part of this effort to boost oil production. The special advisor to the president on energy, Olu, has revealed that oil and gas conference in Lagos. She said that NNPC current production is 220,000 barrels per day, and it's too low to question whether the company's fund are technical strengthened or increased output. Now, we also see that there's a guide to energy reforms, and adding over 8 billion in the new oil and gas investments have already been secured. Meanwhile, NNPC chairman Amadou Kida promised that the next 5 years the company will become Africa's leading energy firm in the source for national pride. And that same headline, we see another beautiful headline. That's a big headline on that front page. We see that Trump threats troops pound terror bases in key states. Now, on that headline, we see that the Nigerian military has stepped up land and air operation across the north after the U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to send American troops to Nigeria over alleged killings of Christians. Trump, in a post of his truth on social accounts, warned that the U.S. could stop all aid and even take military action or violence if the violence continues. Meanwhile, in the Borno state, over 50 fighters were killed when Boko Haram and ISWAP clashed for control in territory in Badam. We also see that the Nigerian army has rescued 86 civilians, arrested several suspects, and separated raid, destroying terrorist camps and recovering weapons. In addition, the Air Force has carried out an airstrike on terrorism hideout in Borno, Kwara, Katsina State, killing many fighters and destroying their camps as well as their equipment. That's a good one from our Air Force. We see that in Nigeria the security has increased or gotten better despite every saying from opposition countries that are not mentioned. Now we'll be diving into the next headline, and in the next headline we see that 9 Nigerian banks has earned a combined 14.72 trillion in interest income during the first months of 2025, boosted by high leading rates. The marks continues to lead 27.7% increase from last year, which was 11.53 trillion. And Access Holding has led up to 2.9 trillion naira, followed by Zenith Bank with 2.74 trillion and Ecobank with 2.33 trillion naira, and also First Headco Bank with 2.29 trillion. Smaller banks like Wema, Starlinks also saw a big jump, with Wema income up to 70%. Analyst says that if this continues to increase and the higher rates, though the recent cut in central bank policy, it can also help boost the economic status in Nigeria. Now, another headline, we also see that a new report by the European Union Agency of Asylum has revealed that over 100 Nigerian police officers are currently assigned to guard politicians and other VIPs, leaving fewer personnel to protect ordinary citizens. The report says the Nigerian police force has about 371,800 officers, a population of over 236 million people. But manpower shortage, corruption, and poor resources have weakened security across the country. Many communities reportedly have little or no police presence, while the response time to crimes remains slow despite the repeated order of the Inspector General of Police to withdraw officers from VIP duties, and the practice continues. Presidential aide Balab Usman also criticized the situation, saying that elite protection should not come at the expense of national safety, and calling for a change to Police Act and letting private security firms handle personal protection instead of the police or the army agencies. Now, this is a beautiful one from that particular story. And in another headline, we see that the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC, has also declared the former Minister of State for Petroleum Resources wanted over an alleged $14.8 million fraud. The EFCC accuses Sylvia of conspiring and illegally converting funds meant for Atlantic International Refinery and International Refinery and Petrochemical Limited, provided by the Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board. Officials say that Sylvia have been placed on a watch list of the FBI, Interpol, and other international agencies. By the court in Lagos has also issued a warrant for his arrest. Sylvia, who is currently in the United Kingdom, denies the allegation, though the media aid describing the case politically motivated and part of campaigning to tarnish his image in the country. Another headline, we see that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has assured Siemens Energy of the Nigerian government full support for Presidential Power Initiative (PPI) aimed at boosting electrical supply and improving citizens' livelihood. Now, we also see that speaking at the State House in Abuja, Tinubu highlighted that the power is central to economic growth, education, healthcare, and industry. He said that the government is pushing to generate an additional 4,000 megawatts of electricity and has ordered some major transformer stations to be expanded and enhanced in supply. The Power Minister Adebayo Adelobu reported that the progress is there's a progress on the project, including the commissioning of mobile substations and transformers, adding a 9,084 megawatts to the grid. Phase 1 of the project is already underway, with 5 key substations targeted to be completed by 2026, and the plans for additional substations to deliver 4,104 megawatts by ending of this year. Now, we also see that the delegation led by the Damita Sanford confirmed that there is a local job creation, technology transfer, and also the training of Nigerian young engineers. And the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, said the project will improve business, reduce poverty, and create more job employment and also youth employment. Now, we see that this particular story is a very good one, knowing that job employment in Nigeria would have or would take a toll in change. Now we'll be moving to the next newspaper front page, which is the Guardian newspaper. We see that 33 years after hopes dims for safer pipeline supplies of Jet A1 to airports in page 6. And in page 3, we see that reps loud Tinubu's payment of protesting contractors in page 3. And in that same page, we see again the court adjoins the suit of PDP convention, and beside it in that same page, we see that EFCC declares the ex-governor Sylvia wanted for alleged fraud. We also see that WHO declares 24 million living with diabetes in Africa, and fraud apathy threatening democracy, Dixon Amechi says in page 4 of that newspaper. And 2027 CSOs demands enforcement of law to curb vote buying in page 7. And in page 6, we see that federal government urges calm as Soyinka Norton Group rejects Trump genocide claim. And also in page 4, we see that telecom operators warns of regulatory conflicts in digital economic bills on that newspaper front page. Now diving into the news, some of the news on that same newspaper front page, we see that the Lagos State Governor has approached the Supreme Court to seek permission to start a contempt proceeding against the National Assembly. Lagos claims that the National Assembly is violating a court ruling that declares the federal law on lottery and gaming unconstitutional. The Autonomy General of Lagos, Bode Olipekun, said that there's a proposed central gaming bill containing clauses that covers lottery and gaming, which matters reserved for the state. According to the Supreme Court judgment on November 22, 2024, Lagos argues that some clauses in the bill even try to persevere actions under the now unveiled National Lottery Act, which the court had struck down. Since the constitution was not amended, it gives National Assembly power to over lottery or gaming. Lagos insists that the bill violates the law, and if the Supreme Court grants permission, Lagos will issue Form 48, a legal notice warning that National Assembly continues the bill and could lead to contempt of court. This particular situation, we want to see the end. As it goes, we would be informing you of what the decision of the court will be on this particular matter. And now in other news, on that same headline, we see that the presidency says that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will comment on trial for IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, whose case remains in the court and the judgment set for November 20th, 2025. Meanwhile, the president's regional aides reported that effort brings government policies closer to people, including community engagement programs, peace initiatives, voters registration and drivers, enrollment of out of school of children, and social protection scheme across the southeast, the north central, the northwest, the southwest region. And they said their work is mainly field-based, not supported or participated by anyone outside the NGOs and development agency, aiming to strengthen peace and education in the citizen participating grassroots level of Nigeria. Now, in another headline on that same front page, we see that over 24 million adults in Africa is living with diabetes, and the number was expected to rise to above 60 million by 2050. And the World Health Organization has come out to say that if half of these cases remain undiagnosed, putting millions at risk, there will be serious complications like heart, kidney, eye, and nerve damage. Now, Regional Director of Africa, Dr. Mohamed Janabi, called for urgent action, stressing that there is a stronger health system that can be put in place and early diagnosis to prevent a lifelong care, and also needed to prevent diabetes from overwhelming health services and economics in the country. He also highlighted that Africa is integrating diabetes care into primary health care centers, as well as countries like Ghana, Uganda, urges government to increase funding and implementation for these strategies to fight the disease across all age groups. Now moving to the next newspaper front page, which is the Daily Independent newspaper front page. You see that there's an alleged 14.8 million fraud. EFCC declares transpires several wanted. We also see that federal government orders expansion of major transformer substation to boost power supply. And we see that President Tinubu engages regional bodies in insecurity battles on that newspaper front page. And in page 7, we see that NUPRC has come out to approve the FDP scan, unlocking 1.7 billion barrels of crude as well as 7.7 TCF of gas. And in page 29, we see that digital sector expected to attract $1 trillion in investment by 2027. Minister has come out to make that claim. We also see that the NGX secures 7.3 trillion naira in landmark capital raise in page 6. On that same page, we see that there's a troop rescue of 86 hostage, arresting 29 terrorist logistics supply. And in page 6 of that same newspaper, we see that there's a board judge dismissal of ADC coalition, and Textile Titans back new board once struggling annihilated from the system in Nigeria. Now moving into some stories, we see that former Governor Dickson Rotimi Amaechi has raised the alarm over Nigerian electoral system, warning that votes buying and vote manipulation is threatening democracy in the country. Speaking at the first daily newspaper 5th anniversary lecture in Abuja, Dickson called electoral fraud a coup against people's sovereignty, while Amaechi said no government should deliver real reform, urging no government could deliver real reform, urging citizens to stay engaged and prevent rigging during election. The keynote speaker, Dr. Sam Amadi, criticized the ties between political power and election management, as well as the newspaper publisher Daniel Maxon announced that there's a plan for nationwide voters sensitization campaign ahead of the 2027 election that is supposed to come up. And we also see on that same front page in another story that there's the Association of Licensed Telecommunication Operation in Nigeria, ALTON, has praised concerns over proposed National Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill in 2025, warning that some provision could cause regulatory overlaps and hurt in investors' confidence. Alton chairman Benga Adebayo told the public hearing in Abuja that certain power is given to NITDA are already under the NCC, urging lawmakers to ensure that the bill complements existing law already. Meanwhile, the Minister of Communication, Dr. Bosun Tijani, said that the bill will boost Nigerian digital economy with now contributing 90% to the GDP already existing and the underpin of the country's e-governance, with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu set to sign into the new law this week as we go. Now, in that same newspaper front page, in other headlines, we see that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has urged the Regional Development Commission to work closely with the states, the government, to tackle insecurity and improve infrastructure across Nigeria. Speaking at the meeting with the Minister of Regional Development in 7 Commission in Abuja, Tinubu emphasized that the collaboration on road project and security initiative. Minister Abubakar Momo said the commission is not a state executive but expected to complete federal and state efforts. Officials from Niger Delta, Northeast and North Central Development Commission highlighted that the ongoing construction, community projects and security measures, including the lightning and bridges, will promote economic growth and peace in their own region. Now moving to another newspaper, which is the Nation newspaper, we see that Silva wanted by the EFCC over $14.8 million fraud in page 4. As the ex-ministers, it's witch hunt, says that there's a witch hunt. And we also see that beside it in page 3, religion, not Nigerians' crisis, says Shoyinka, answering the comments from the present president of the US. We also see that in page 4, we see NAHON clashes 2026 Hajj Fair in 7.6 million naira. We also see that there's a lottery in Lagos suing National Assembly for defiling Supreme Court's order in that same page 4. And the big headline, we see that there's an airstrike killing terrorists in Borno, pound high hideouts in Katsina, as well as Kwara and other states included. We see that the troop launches blasting attack as 200 ISWAP fighters killed in clash with Boko Haram. And we also see on that same front page that PDP faction asks NJC to sanction Ibadan judge, and federal government scales up 2.3 billion euro power project. The project generates $2.2 billion investment. Now moving to the next newspaper front page for today is the Daily Sun newspaper front page. We see that PDP convention, Imo party chair order demands sanction against Oyo judge in page 6. And in that same page 6, we see that Sultan cautions Nigerians, advises citizens not to allow outsiders divide us, as governors go spiritual and ask traditional rulers to consult the gods of the land. Now in page 26, we see that more trouble for ex-Bayelsa Governor Silva. EFCC insists that he comes in for questioning to answer and declares him wanted in the country. Now in page 26, we see that FCDO hails Governor Mba investment in healthcare system development. And beneath that same headline, we see that manpower shortage hits shipping sector. 5,000 cadets lacks sea timing training. And in page 25, we see that domestic airlines need single-digit interest rates. Special effects widow Okonkwo, United Nigeria CEO, comes out to say as airline commences Nigerian-Ghana fight. We also see, we'll move into the next newspaper front page, and it's the New Telegraph newspaper front page, where we see that Tier 1 bank suffers 545 billion naira capital erosion in 10 days market crisis. And in page 8, we see that there's a breakthrough as Nigeria joins unified West African powered grid. We also see beneath that in page 6 that insecurity APC governor begs traditional rulers to consult the gods of the land for protection. And in page 2, we see that EFCC declares ex-Bayelsa Governor Sylvia wanted for alleged conspiracy and fraud conversion. We see in page 9 and 10 that Baba Ahmed, we need to be angry with our leaders. They have taken us for granted. We also see that ex-French president released from prison after 3 weeks in page 4 of the newspaper. Now moving to the big headline, we see that Trump threat, U.S. alters West African security landscape. Ex-DSS director comes out saying page 3 and 5 of that newspaper. And in page 3, we see that PDP, National Convention, Oyo Court adjourns suit till November 12, 2025. And we also see in page 27 that federal government targets local production of 5,000 tons of methanol to build local production of chemicals as well as fertilizers in the country. And beneath that headline in page 2, 5 and 27, we see that the historical mistrust, landing, grappling and others triggering violence in the North Central presidency has come out to claim. And we also see that Red Probe $4.6 billion grant from Global Fund and USAID in page 4 and 30 of that particular newspaper. Now moving to the next newspaper, that is the Tribune newspaper front page, where we see the big headline, Boko Haram, ISWAP clashes at Borno border, over 150 killed. NAF kills ISWAP terrorists, bandits in precision air strikes across northern states. Police partners with DSS and others to intensify patrol operations around churches in Abuja. We also see that there's a place high premium on stable power. Tinubu has come out to say in page 5. And in page 27, the National Hajj Commission announces cuts in 2026 Hajj fares. And in health, coffee may protect against irregular heartbeats by 39%. Study has come out to say in page 24. In page 4 of that newspaper. We also see in page 3 that there's a historical mistrust, land grabbing, illegal mining and banditry triggering violence. Presidency has come out to say as Tinubu receives zonal brief on security and infrastructure of the country. And in page 25, we see that Pebolo revokes MOWAA's COFO's ask site to be returned to Benin Central Hospital. And there's a wildlife trafficking as court sends 2 to prison and others for forfeiture of gorilla in page 17 of that newspaper front page. And if you look above that newspaper front page, you see that Rep invites EFCC ICPC to probe 4.6 billion global funds as USAID grants in page 4 of that newspaper. In page 26, beside it, we see that EFCC declares Timi Sylvia wanted in the country. Now moving to another newspaper front page, which is the Daily Trust newspaper. We see that Obasanjo, the former president of Nigeria, has said that under my watch, US wouldn't do anything in Africa without our knowledge. We also see in page 14 that Abuja Hospital mortuary drowns in stench decay. And Silver, EFCC puts FBI, NCA, Interpol on alert in page 4 and 5 of that newspaper. The big headline, bandits attack 5 vehicles, adopt passenger in Kogi State. And if you look beneath it, we see that the federal government pushes for transfer to Nigeria. Ekwe Madu's transfer to Nigeria in page 6. And in page 10, we see that PDP convention, Damagun-led NWC moves Wike expulsion. And NAH Con reduces Hajj fare to 7.6 million naira on page 7 of that newspaper. We also see another story that many killed as Boko Haram ISWAP clashes in Chad region of the continent in page 7 of that particular newspaper. Now moving to the last newspaper for today, the Vanguard newspaper, we see that Nigerian private sector credit soars to 75.9% in 2 years. In page 19 of that newspaper, we also see in page 8 that PDP says that there's a pro-anti-convention force to fight as court adjourns case to November 12th of this year. And in page 9, we see that let's unite against extremism. Olubadan, Soika and NHRC has come out to tell citizens. And we also see that Dixon and Amici has come out to say that 2027 rigging worst coup in page 16 of that newspaper. And in insecurity situation, we see that NAF strikes, kills terrorists, bandits in Borno, Kwara State, Katsina State, as well as other states in Nigeria. That story can be found in page 5 of that newspaper, as well as FCT police, DSS commence special patrol and places in worship borders area of the country. We also see another big headline that why we declare Timi Perez Silva wanted, EFCC has come out to make their claims or the reasons of which they have decided to declare Silva wanted in the country. We also see that it is coordinated political onslaught, and as Idwal Yukes kicks in page 7 of that newspaper, we see that Trump threatens BBC with 1 billion lawsuits over January 6 speech edits as BBC DG Davis CEO resigns. We also see that WHO FCDO hails Mba commitment to health development in the country in page 11. And beside it, we see that there's shocker as Chile owed salaries ahead World Cup playoffs in page 232 of that particular newspaper. Now moving into some of the newspapers in full, we see that there's a story that Nigeria Cottons and Textile stakeholders have welcomed the federal government's approval of the new Cottons and Textiles and Garments Development Board, calling it a long overdue lifeline for a sector crippled by smuggling and neglect. Vice President Kashim Shettima described this board as a key reviving sector as once powered the nation economy. The industrial player also emphasized that success hinges on cracking down illegal imports, supporting cotton farmers with improved seeds and minimum price guarantee, rehabilitating idle generaries of textile mills, and adopting a coordinated value chain approach in linking farmers and greeners as well as spinners for garments manufacturers in the country. And in another headline, we see that the Nigerian Air Force has intensified counter-terrorism to counter the banditry operation nationwide, conducting a precision airstrike and neutralized dozens of ISWAP terrorists in Borno State and destroyed bandit hideouts in Kwara, Katsina, and across Northwest Corridor. Guided by the real-time intelligence, the strike is targeted to insurgent logistic hub, weapon stores, and escape routes, crippling the criminal mobility. Meanwhile, the FCT, police, and DSS operative, alongside with local hunters and vigilantes group, has commenced a special patrol around churches, borders, communities in Kaduna, Niger State, and other states to enhance security in the country. Now, this is a beautiful one from our security agencies in the country. We'll be going on a very quick short break, but when we come back, we'll be diving into our tech news for today. Do stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
Number 6, 6G networks and beyond. 5G is still rolling out worldwide, but work on 6G is already in motion. South Korea, Japan, and Finland are leading trials, with commercial deployment expected around 2030. 6G aims to use terahertz frequencies to deliver speeds up to 100 times faster than 5G and latency as low as 100 microseconds. That's fast enough to support real-time holograms, autonomous fleets, and massive IoT ecosystems. The ITU has begun setting 6G standards, while companies like Nokia and Samsung are actively developing hardware. By 2026, early 6G pilots will give us a glimpse of the post-5G world.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is your newspaper review on Idea Television, and we'll be diving into our tech news. And the tech news we have for today is that Google is positioning itself as an AI-first company with research centers worldwide, including in Tokyo, Zurich, New York, Paris, and as at last week, it opened its first in Africa at Accra, Ghana. The company says that AI can help in agriculture, health, and education, and its terms in Africa is aimed to give developers and tools they need to solve local problems. Mustafa, head of the Google AI in Africa, says that most of their works have open sources, so everyone can use it. And he has highlighted that an app is helping Tanzanian farmers to diagnose cassava diseases, and developing Pennsylvania University and International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, showing that AI-1 mobile phones can solve real-world problems in the country and the continent at large. Now, this is a very beautiful one because we see that Google activity in Africa has opened its first AI research centers in Accra, Ghana, and we also see that part of the Google Global Network of research centers has been opened also in other countries like Tokyo, New York, Paris, as well as other countries involved in this particular development. We also see that there's a focus for AI first research tailored to local problems in the continent and in the country Ghana. And we also see that in all of these let's say improvements, there's a developing practical AI solution which is creating AI tools to address real-world problems for not just for agricultural sectors, for the health sectors in the country Ghana, and to help educational tools to enhance education in that particular country. Now, if this work actually helps, if this work is collaborated with universities and research institutions of the University of Pennsylvania and also the IITA of agricultural AI tools. We also see that there's an open source research as publishers. Research is open source code for anyone that can use and modify to build on Google AI models. Now, this is helping that. This states that it has helped farmers of different faiths, whether educated or not, to be able to access Google help chats on their phones that would help them walk through those Google systems that will enhance their agricultural sector in that particular country, and also help in the educational system. So it is imputed in your phone. It can actually help you on how to describe or what to do and how to do it and when to do it and what to do about it if in case there's any problem that surfaces. We also see that there's a collaboration and capacity building as partners of local international institutes implement AI solution. This brings and build a partnership between Ghana and other involved countries that is outside the continent. We also see in all of these that Google Researching AI is opening source for its model, collaborating with local institutions and creating AI tools to solve practical problems in Africa, and training local talents and scaling AI solutions in the continent in Africa at large. And we pray that this particular innovation will be able to spread around other countries like Nigeria, the South Africa, and other African countries in order to help and improve our health sector, not just the health sector, but also the agricultural sector and the educational system in the continent at large. Now we'll be closing on our newspaper review on Idea Television. But before we go, I urge you to follow us on all our social media platforms as displayed on your screen, and as well to go and get your own copy of the Idea Persons of Interest magazine that has come out. We've been having so many series that has been brought out, and if you are missing, you will be missing a lot. It is a lot to understand that so many people are doing innovating will I say, innovating ideas. So many people are bringing innovating ideas in Nigeria and in the continent Africa and beyond Africa, and they are doing a lot for their particular generation. For you to be able to affect yours, you have to go and learn from others. So we urge you to go and seek for your Idea Persons of Interest magazine. It is on our website, on all our social media platform. And now for the end of the newspaper review, like I would always say, stay informed, stay safe. Bye for now.